And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. That is right, it is time. Time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having a discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some of what's going on in the news and have a little bit of conversation, as it were. Of course, you can find me on YouTube for the live portion, and that takes place at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the monikers for that, if you're looking for it, are at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can also find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, and that is at Coffee Talk Chat, as well as fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. Of course, being joined by, who is that? Granny Smith in the background, sitting in the chair, sleeping in the chair. There's a couple more in the doorway. We'll see if they come in or not. Of course, that is some of the felines I'm taking care of. And I've got more than I bargained for with cats. I have more. I've stumbled across some more. And anyways, getting back in here, I do read through as many of the comments as I can for those of you who are listening and not able to see. And I'll go ahead and acknowledge some people that have chimed in so far. I see Donna Beavis here reminding people like, thumbs up, and share. Please do. Helter is here. Dragon. Nathan Helix. Gary Edwards. Chris is here, wants to know if I saw a story about a Filipino mayor who's likely a Chinese spy. I don't think I've seen that. Ragnar is here, Doc Galt, and Flukeman so far. Glad you could all make it as we get ready to dive in and see what is going on in the world. And we will probably start off with, since you brought up China, the C virus, or more specifically, the Wuhan laboratories, which after all these years, they're finally admitting involvement. Fat lot of good it will do. New York Post article, NIH officially, finally admits the taxpayers funded gain of function research in Wuhan after years of denials. And the article opens up with the term, "It's about time!" Exclamation point, I bet. At long last, National Institutes of Health Principal Deputy Director Lawrence Tabak admitted to Congress Thursday that U.S. taxpayers funded gain of function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China in the months and years before the C virus pandemic. Dr. Tabak asked Representative Debbie Lesko of the Select Subcommittee on the C virus pandemic, did NIH fund gain of function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology through Manhattan-based nonprofit EcoHealth Alliance? Quote, "It depends on your definition of gain of function research," Tabak answered. "If you're speaking about the generic term, well, yes, we did." It sounded like he was going to go in a different direction there for a second, didn't it? It sounded like Bill Clinton when he says, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman," because he was regarding sexual relations in his mind as straight up intercourse rather than any type of sexual function, which is kind of what happened. That sounded like that's where they're going. It depends on your definition of gain of function research, but then he admits it anyways. The response comes after more than 4 years of evasions from federal public health officials, including Tabak himself and former National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease Director Dr. Anthony Fauci, about the controversial research practice that modifies viruses to make them more infectious. Tabak added that, quote, "This is research. The generic term, gain of function, is research that goes on in many, many labs around the country." Now he's trying to backtrack. "It is not regulated, and the reason it's not regulated is it poses no threat or harm to anybody." Oh, I see. So in a laboratory, making a virus more dangerous, more aggressive, and more deadly, is not a threat to anyone. Gotcha. Dr. Bryce Nichols, a professor of genetics at Rutgers University and co-founder of the Plandemic, oversight group Biosafety Now, told the Post the exchange was two people talking past each other. Tabak was engaging in the usual obfuscation and semantic manipulation that is so frustrating and pointless, Nichols said, adding that the NIH bigwig was resisting accountability for risky research that can create pathogens of pandemic potential. Instead of addressing this directly, Tabak launched into a useless response about how gain of function encompasses many types of experiments. Yeah, we all know that, and we've all been waiting for these people to own up to it for a while. There's Fauci right there. Scapegoat number one, if anything ever really does hit the fan with all of this. And he knows it. He knows it. You know, they'll always try to narrow it down to that one guy, even though there's 1,000 people involved. But that's what a scapegoat's for. And he'll go along with it, and or else he'll end up getting Epsteined. He'll be found hung dead in his cell. So don't push me because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. Who knows where that's from? Who knows where that's from? Come on, guys. Who was around during the hip hop generation or rap generation in the 80s? They know what that is. But anyways, it's cute. It's real cute. It's nice to hear somebody admit it, even though they've been denying it for years, to actually come forward and say, yeah, okay, sure, we did that. But there will be no accountability. They're exempt from the accountability. And again, if anyone is held accountable, they'll scapegoat it. They'll throw it on one guy. Most likely Fauci will be the fall guy. That's what a fall guy does. And nothing will get accomplished. Nothing will change. Boogers is here, as well as Zane. And Doc, that's what Doc Galt says. He said, let me guess, no accountability. Well, they're not doing anything with the guy other than making him admit it. Chris is here. He says, Alice Guo is a mayor in the Philippines, and while in court being asked about corruption, she claims she has no memory of her past or childhood. It's likely the Chinese planted her there. I don't remember my past or childhood either. So there. D-Lo is here, as well as Spectre. Glad you could make it today. Flukeman says, reported a shoplifter at the supermarket I was earlier on today. The security guard doesn't care, didn't report it, or try to find them. Oh, that sucks. Once upon a time, that meant something. Once upon a time, that meant something. You know, if you interfered with something like that, and that, you know, that reminds me of, and I told this story a long time ago. There's on, where is it? Brighton Avenue in Allston, Massachusetts. There's a store. There was, I don't know if it's still there, called Urban Renewal, and it's a thrift store. Okay, they take donations, they put stuff up for sale like Goodwill. And I was in there, and I was in the clothing aisle, and there was a woman with her shopping cart. And I saw hands come from between the clothing, like someone was hiding in the middle of the aisles, and reach down in her purse and take something out. And then I looked up the other aisle and I saw a guy creep out from the clothing and walk around the store. And I went up to the front counter and I told them there, I said, yeah, you have a manager or assistant manager, somebody. And I said, you see that guy right there? And I described him. I said, he stole something out of a woman's purse. I'm not going to let him leave. So you better call the police. And she was like, are you serious? And he went up to the front and he got his backpack, because in those days they did bag checks in most stores in Boston. I don't know if they still do that. But he got his bag and he goes to the front door, and I stopped him. I wouldn't let him out. And the police came actually pretty quickly, because there was a construction going on across the street. And in Massachusetts, if there's construction being done, then a police officer has to be there to keep people away from the construction site. So he came like within a minute of them calling, and they held the guy and they talked to the woman. They had a hard time with the woman because she didn't speak English. She was Russian. But because she wouldn't cooperate, They couldn't be sure if he did take anything out of her purse, but he had a warrant anyways, so they still arrested him. Urban Renewal offered me a job after that, but I'll get back to the comments. I know I went down a bunny trail here. Helter says people were saying this 4 years ago, and yet they were called conspiracy theorists. I know. Put your foil hat on, huh? Put your foil hat on. And Raccoon says they're doing it with bird flu too. And Brian is here. Thanks for joining us today, as well as the Jericho. Dragon says the pharmaceutical industry has its own agendas, and taxpayers' money was used to promote business. A German doctor from the Second World War comes to mind, I bet. And Doc Galt says, last I heard, Fauci was protected by the U.S. Marshal Service. They'll still scapegoat him if they need to protect other people. And Delo says, Grandmaster Flash, there we go. Don't push me because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. And there you are. There you are, folks. There you are. But speaking of corruption, I mean, we all knew this. We knew there was something fishy going on from the very beginning. Hey, little girl. What are you doing? Come here. Little girl, everybody. Say hello. For those of you who can see, I know some people can't. I've got little girl here, one of the felines. Hi, darling. What are you doing in here today? She doesn't usually hang around when I'm doing this. Well, she's been here a couple of times this week, I think, hasn't she? Little girl, everyone. This one is up for adoption. You're up for adoption. I'll see if I can get rid of you before I end up with the other ones, because I found 6 more. I put up a short from that yesterday. I don't know if anybody saw that. I stumbled across a den full of kittens yesterday in the back. And a very, very feral looking mama watching me from the bushes. She didn't move them though. They're still there. So she wasn't scared that I was going to do anything, or else she would have moved her. She would have moved them all by now, but she has not. So I'll have to keep an eye on them. Best I can do is keep an eye on them because I can't access mama. And I did the short yesterday. I don't know if anybody here has seen it. But speaking of corruption and getting into the realm of corruption here, that'll put me at 20 cats. Time to buy more cat food. We're going to jump to New York. And this is a United Liberty article. What country are we living in? Jury convicts New York City man over gunsmithing hobby after the judge says, quote, the Second Amendment doesn't exist here. Let that sink in. Second Amendment does not exist, at least not in his courtroom. What did you take an oath of office for? I know the oath is only as good as the person who recites it. If you take an oath and you mean it, it means something. If you take an oath and you don't care, then the oath is worthless. And in this case, the oath is worthless because I'm pretty sure something about upholding the Constitution was in his oath. Getting into the article here, a Brooklyn man, Dexter Taylor, has been convicted on 13 weapons charges, sparking a potential landmark case in the realm of Second Amendment rights. Taylor's ordeal, originating from his gunsmithing hobby, intersects with the legal landscape shaped by the Bruin ruling of 2022. Taylor, 52-year-old software engineer, found himself embroiled in legal trouble after pursuing gunsmithing as a hobby. The jury convicted him on charges including possession of loaded weapons, possession of firearms, and violations related to firearm parts and ammunition. Taylor's fascination with weapons science during the C-virus lockdowns led him to explore gunsmithing. However, what started as a personal hobby evolved into a legal battle when authorities discovered his lawful acquisition of firearm parts. Let me point this out. After authorities discovered his lawful acquisition of parts, so he was doing what he was doing legally. legally. But I digress. During the trial, Taylor's defense faced significant hurdles, including restrictions on mentioning the Second Amendment. Judge Abina Dakher's courtroom atmosphere was characterized by bias against the defendant, hindering the defense efforts to present a robust case. The prosecution painted Taylor as a dangerous individual, leveraging sensationalism to sway the jury. Judge Dakher's interruptions and restrictions further compounded the challenges faced by Taylor's defense, limiting their ability to present a comprehensive defense strategy. Taylor's defense explored the possibility of jury nullification, a legal concept allowing juries to acquit defendants based on their disagreement with law. However, Judge Dakher discouraged this approach, exerting pressure on the jury to deliver a guilty verdict. Wow, he was intimidating the jury if he's pressuring them to make a guilty decision. He's not allowed to do that, or he shouldn't. Despite the defense's efforts, the jury returned a guilty verdict on most charges, prompting Taylor's immediate arrest, with sentencing scheduled for May 13th. Taylor faces the prospect of lengthy prison terms, signaling the potential severity of Judge Dakher's ruling. So he did something legal. The DA made a case out of it anyways. And the judge is biased against him and put pressure on the jury to deliver a guilty verdict. That is the prosecuting attorney's job, to beseech the jury, I urge you to find this man guilty. That is not the judge's job to try to encourage them to do that. And that alone, if he was pressuring the jury which, I can see them being intimidated into voting guilty. If he pressured them like that, then that's grounds for this to be dismissed in the first place. But I mean, to literally stand up there and say, quote, the Second Amendment doesn't exist here, referring to his courtroom. Wow. I all I can tell you is I sure hope I don't end up in court anytime soon. I already don't trust a lot of what goes on in the so-called justice system as it is, and this just further affirms that. That's scary. And it made a point, and the story made a point, that he was gunsmithing as a hobby, doing it legally, and everything that he had, he obtained legally and properly. It's a hobby to this guy. He's no history. I didn't read it here, but I have read another article on it. No history of any kind of violence or problems or anything with this guy. And Flukeman says, how much cat food does your furry friends go through a day? A day, off the top of my head, probably about 3 pounds. About 3 pounds. I'll go through like a hardly, it might be more than that, because I'll go through a 30-pound bag of like Meow Mix in a week with just 14 of them. 14. And now we got feral mama back there at the fence line, and the 5 kittens I stumbled over yesterday. And it's like, oh shit, here we go. And I got 3 that I'm working on right now to get adopted. And the woman that we work with, the director of Halo House, she's going in for a surgery. So she's not going to even be able to help us with that until she gets out of recovery. So we got, like I said, I got 3 that are ready to go. They're like a little girl here. She's real comfortable being handled now. And now I've got like 6 more to deal with. But it is what it is. Doc Galt says the judge should be disbarred. No kidding. And Helter says she's not a judge. She's an activist. As far as I'm concerned, she's guilty of treason. Yeah, that is activism. And Dragon says she rebukes the very document that looks to her to enforce the document. She's working against the best interests of our country. And Donna says, I saw the story yesterday. I thought the Constitution was in all 50 states. My bad. Not in that courtroom. Not in the courtroom. And there's JD911 joining us today. Dragon says, time for her reality check. If the Constitution has no power in a courtroom, her courtroom has no power, period. Yeah, I'd like to see that enforced, though. And Jericho says, wouldn't that be treason going against the Constitution as a judge? You could make that argument. Making it stick, though, is another problem. And Brian wants to know if I have any World War II guns. No, I do not. And JD says, you're assuming the judges in the higher courts are going to acknowledge the Bill of Privileges. Yeah, Bill of Privileges. It is privileges. It's not. It's only rights as long as they grant them. And Raccoon says they made a donation through PayPal. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated. Yeah, I need all the help I can get, especially with the new additions. And if you haven't seen it, I can show you the clip here. Let me pull up the video clip. I did a short of it when I stumbled over them yesterday. Hold on. And I'll pull that up. For those of you who can see, here's the short. And that's some fencing that I've got leaning across a tree. And it's pretty close. It's actually only about 20 yards from the back door. And Unknown Nose is here. Glad you could make it today. Here's the new additions. You won't see Mama here, though, because I almost I was walking past this, and I heard a hiss, and a cat just popped straight up in the air and ran and hid in the bush and was staring at me. And I was like, what the hell is that all about? And then I heard the peeping. And I was like, oh, crap, kittens. So, yeah, I'll run that clip for you here real quick. I got the video pulled up. You won't be able to – will you be able to hear it? Let me fix the audio. I'll turn the audio on.
I'm out back, way in the back of the wooded area behind my house. I've got some old fencing set up here, right? Watch this. There's 5 of them. There's 5 of them in here. As if I didn't have enough already. Looks like I've got my work cut out for me.
There they are. And Jill and Dave is here from the FEMA Zone number 1. FEMA Zone number 1. Oh, be careful. Be careful with that. Never go to the FEMA camp. Never do that. But yeah, that's the ones that I found. And Eric Peter says, sorry for being naive, but do the kitten's mother stick around, or do they take off, or does someone just drop these kittens off? Yeah, she stick around. She's still there. They'll stick around until at least they wean. They wean off. And then we can't, I wouldn't want to separate them until they're weaned off anyways, which would be at least 12 weeks, because that's the safest bet. You don't want to even try to get them inoculated or spayed or neutered or anything until they're weaned off. And that goes for the mother too. If I can get the mother and bring her in for a vet service, they shouldn't do it, I should say, because you never know what a vet's going to do. But they should not put her through that procedure until after she's done nursing, because it will affect them. It'll harm them because of the anesthesia that's used. Anyways, that's the new additions. So went ahead and share that there. Yeah, Unknown Nose says babies. Yeah, they're very small. They're very small, barely just opening their eyes. And Monkey is here. Glad you could make it, Monkey. And Nature Nerd says local states, counties, and cities shelter you from federal law for better or for worse. That's why judges in cities can make or break a right that is inconceivable for the rest of the countries. Yeah, and rest of the country, rather, not countries. But yeah, absolutely. And that's just despicable. And that's another reason why I have issues with judges who lean in a political direction. Again, I don't think unions, I don't think people in education, or public schools, colleges, universities, whatever. And I don't think judges should be political. Those are areas where there should be some semblance of neutrality. So no political parties, no activism, man. Leave it alone. Just do your job. Can't do it. Can't do it. And Rodney says, just tuned in and saw the kitties. All good. Well, thanks for joining us, Rodney. And then Gary Edwards says, can we name the kittens? I guess so, if you can tell them apart. It's too young. They're too young to tell them apart right now. But yeah, I end up naming everybody. I give everybody names, and sometimes it's weird, but it helps me to keep track of them. And then Fluke Man says, years ago, a helicopter spotted an armed guy doing tactical maneuvers on a rooftop in New York, called the cops and arrested him. It was just airport guns, but they said, oh, airsoft guns, but they said airsoft is illegal. Seriously? I don't think you can have a Swiss Army knife in New York. They are extremely strict and have been for a long time in New York, especially in the city. It's kind of like if you're in Illinois and you're talking in terms of Chicago. You cross into Cook County, it's like entering another country. And the rules there are insane. They're absolutely insane. They make no sense, but they're very strict for a place that gets shot to death every other day. So much for their gun laws and their draconian methods. And Eric made a donation. Says, Kitten Fund, thank you for the work you do for these beautiful animals. So thank you, Eric. Yeah, we need all the help we can get. And that, like I said, that puts us at 20 right now. And I'm trying to get 3 adopted, and it looks like I'm going to have 5 more. We got 7 kittens and 2 mamas and 1 male adopted last year through Halo House. Helped us out. But you do what you can. You do what you can. We enjoy helping them out. And Damien says they heard they banned body armor in Chicago. Yes, yeah, they put bans on body armor, and it's like, okay, there are people that have body armor. It's not unheard of for a parent to buy a backpack that has a trauma plate for their kids so they can have it as a shield. Now it's illegal. It doesn't mean you're armed, but that's what they do. An unknown knows sent a letter to your PO box. I'll watch out for it. And Fookman says, if you're left wing, you're allowed to have petrol bombs. Oh yeah, or soup for your family. As who was it? Maxine Waters said that. She should have been charged for inciting. When people were going out to the protests, and she said, this was years ago, this was during the whole Black Lives Matter nonsense, make sure you're carrying some soup for your family. And that's a code, because a soup can actually, because of the liquid displacement, can be thrown a considerable distance, and it's deadly. It's about as deadly as throwing a stone that size. So you can throw a soup can further than you can throw a rock, and you can damn near kill somebody with it. And so when she said that, it was a code, and they do that. Oh, I'm just got some soup for my family, and they got like a bag full of Campbell's tomato soup, and they pitch them at riot police, and they use them to break storefront windows and such. And Nature Nerd says, wouldn't body armor save lives from gangs in Chicago? You would think so. You would think they would want people to be able to defend themselves, at least in that regard. But no, no, you can't. And then Brian says there's like a dozen drive-by shootings a week in Chicago, which is like the murder capital of the United States. And there you are. Exactly. But while we're on the subject of guns, oh, it's another United Liberty article. That's 2 this week, or 2 today. Check this one out. Gunshot detecting microphones labeled as racist, according to senators that demand defunding. that demand defunding. So what we're talking about here is in certain cities, you know how they have cameras up everywhere, okay? Many of those cameras also have a microphone. And those microphones in many places have had a program added to them to react if it hears something that sounds like a gunshot, to let the police know. And then Damien here says the government wants us killable. Absolutely. Why do you think they have restrictions on fully automatic weapons? Why do you think that they recommend that you use hollow points? It's a lot harder to defeat body armor with a hollow point. So if you ever got into a firefight with one of them, you're less likely to do damage. There's a lot to consider there. That's a big can of worms. But getting into this, here we go. Gunshot detection technology, once hailed as a critical tool for combating gun violence, is now under fire. Senator Elizabeth Warren and other lawmakers are demanding the defunding of ShotSpotter, a gun detecting system, labeling it as discriminatory and racially biased. This call for action has sparked a heated debate about the technology's impact and its implications on minority communities. Okay. And here you see one. This is a street lamp. It's got a camera on it with a microphone. You can't really see it very well, but and some of you can't see it at all if you're just listening, but that's okay. Again, the microphone has been outfitted with a program that will alert a system if it thinks it hears gunshots. And then, they can have a cruiser go by or send a drone or whatever the hell they do. Fair enough. Back to the article. ShotSpotter is an acoustic gunshot detection system designed to identify, locate, and alert law enforcement to gunfire incidents. The technology uses a network of microphones placed throughout urban areas to triangulate the location of gunshots. Yeah, it wouldn't work out here because you hear gunshots all the time, but I'm in the middle of freaking nowhere. And that's just people, screwing around on their own property. Its primary aim is to enable faster police response times and enable public safety by pinpointing where shots are fired. Okay. Senator Warren and other critics argue that ShotSpotter disproportionately targets minority neighborhoods. They claim the system's placement in predominantly Black, Brown, and Latino areas results in unjustified surveillance and over-policing of these communities. According to the senators, this practice violates civil rights and exacerbates tensions between law enforcement and residents. Okay. So if you have an area, let's say Chicago, for example, where there are a lot of shootings, and they said, all right, we're going to put ShotSpotter in the Chicago suburbs here, or in the Chicago neighborhoods, because there's a lot of shootings there anyways, and now if it picks up a shot, we can go check it out. Fair enough. Now, what she's suggesting is that because you had to put them there, it's discrimination. By calling it discrimination, though, she's saying that she believes that predominantly Black and Latino neighborhoods have shootings anyways. It's kind of admitting, you're kind of admitting that shootings are going on in those areas. If you're saying it's discrimination to have them in those areas. Did I miss something? JD says most of those Chicago murders are gang members murdering gang members from other gangs. I don't see the point in trying to stop them. And then Fluke Man says, so it's illegal to buy protection gear even for toddlers, doesn't even know right and wrong, believes Santa and the Tooth Fairy and etc. exists. Yeah. And that's my point, because they have those backpacks. You can find them on eBay where it's got a trauma plate inside. You can give it to your kid. They wear it on their back. That way, if they have to crouch, or they can take it off and hold it up if there's shooting going on. Can't do it anymore. Cruising says we have this system. It's cut police responses time by half in the neighborhood. And Chillin' Dave reminds us that Elizabeth Warren is Pocahontas. Yeah, it's in there somewhere. It's like 132, 132nd% Native Indian, maybe. Cruising says the heinous restriction from the government is that they restrict body armor as though being safer from violence is itself an act of violence. And then Dragon says if they took those shot spotters from those areas and put it in a suburban neighborhood, they'd still complain you were racist and discriminating against poor areas. Exactly. And then Doc Galt says, same here. I live in the woods. Shot spotter would go crazy during deer season. Yeah, out here it makes no sense. But in an urban area, in the city somewhere, especially in areas where there are known to be troublesome spots, it kind of makes sense. It helps you to get a faster response. Helter says the word racist is thrown around at every opportunity and it has lost all meaning. I agree. The word is abused. It's overused. I'm sick of hearing it. And Cruising says before they put in the shot system, their city was ranked as the most dangerous in Florida, and it ranked in the top 10. Now it's one of the safest in Florida. Systems work when people are afraid to report. And Nature Nerd says the gun triangulation microphone technology is a waste of money and resources and sounds like an authoritarian dystopian future city. Well, it is anyways, but they may as well have microphones too. They're already listening to them. They may as well listen for shots. I mean, they may as well listen for shooting too. But there you go. Elizabeth Warren and other senators, I can guess who probably is on this. You know, take your pick. Extreme left-wing, dripping, sopping wet, disgusting liberal to the point of just wanting to put a finger down your throat. Those are the ones that are going to be sitting there saying, oh, it's racist to listen for gunshots in black neighborhoods. Okay. If there's a history of shooting there, then yeah, what do you want? Senator Warren, along with Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey and Representatives Ayanna Pressley, had sent a letter to the Department of Homeland Security calling for a federal investigation into the use of ShopSpotter. They assert that recent reports cast doubt on the system's accuracy and effectiveness, highlighting concerns about civil rights violations and potential misuse of taxpayer funds. They're worried about misuse of taxpayer funds? They're worried about, what are you doing? They're worried about the misuse of taxpayer funds? Get out from behind there. Come on. Naughty cat. I don't want you back there. These people do nothing but misuse taxpayer funds. They do nothing but waste money. They do nothing but spend your money frivolously, misuse and misappropriate taxpayer dollars. But now they want to pretend like they care about your tax money being wasted. Is that so? They want to worry about it now. Oh, we don't want people wasting. We don't want the tax dollars to be wasted. You don't want the tax dollars to be wasted when it's something that you don't like, is what it is. Monkey says, plus they put those in areas where police are more likely to frequent rather than in ones where police are rarely frequent. And Chillin says they've got a ceramic floor tile in their pack. He's talking about making your own type of armor. Fluke Man says Americans criticize UK laws being strict. At least British are allowed to have armor. Yeah, but you can't have a steak knife. They're trying to take that away from you too. The knife ban. Oh, we can't have young folk walking around with steak knives committing crimes. Nature Nerd says the microphones are really listening to what we say. Yeah. The U.S. has a right to bear arms, so why listen to gunshots if guns are everywhere? And that if a criminal uses a bow and arrow or sword, it's quiet. They don't have that kind of skill. Are you kidding? Cruising says the irony of misuse could build an entire fleet of battleships. There you go. There you go. But, talking about the misuse and misappropriation of funds, and I hate how much our tax money is wasted. I really do. But on the subject of that type of misuse and misappropriation, and on the subject of corruption, Business Insider, former Facebook and Nike DEI manager, gets 5 years in prison for stealing $5 million to fund her luxury lifestyle. There she is. DEI executive from Facebook and from Nike. DEI executive needed $5 million in misappropriated funds so that she could look cute. Can you blame her? And that's Barbara Furlow, former diversity program manager at Facebook and Nike, was sentenced to 5 years and 3 months in prison after pleading guilty to stealing more than $5 million to fund her luxury lifestyle. It must be. I mean, how much do you need? The sentence against Barbara Furlow smiles. Barbara Furlow smiles. Was announced on Monday by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Georgia. Furlow Smiles shamelessly violated her position of trust as a DEI executive at Facebook to steal millions from the company, utilizing a scheme involving fraudulent vendors, fake invoices, and cash kickbacks, U.S. Attorney Ryan K. Buchanan said. Buchanan added, after being terminated from Facebook, she brazenly continued the fraud as a DEI leader at Nike, where she stole another six-figure sum from the diversity program. According to the attorney's office, Furlow Smiles began her elaborate fraud while working as a diversity, equity, and inclusion executive at Facebook from 2017 to 2021. In that role, she had access to the company's credit cards and the authority to make purchases and approve invoices for Facebook vendors. She used her position to pay friends, family, and other associates for items and services that were never given to Facebook, according to the statement, hiding the phony expenses by filling counterfeit expenditure reports. Once these people received the money, they returned most of it to Furlow Smiles in cash, either in person or sometimes by Federal Express or mail, the attorney's office said. You know what? That'll add wire fraud charges. It added that so-called vendors included Furlow Smiles' friends, relatives, interns from a former job, nannies and babysitters, a hairstylist, and her university tutor. Congratulations. She went too far. She got away with it with Facebook. All they did was fire her. When she did it with Nike, they caught her, and then both of them brought charges. It added that the so-called vendors included Furlow Smiles. Oh, I read that. Furlow Smiles also used the fraud to pay more than $18,000 in preschool tuition and close to $10,000 to an artist for specialty photos. Oh, so that's where the pictures came from. There you go, Furlow. Yes, she does. I wonder what it's like. I bet she doesn't look that good without all the makeup. You can tell she's got a full foundation on, even on her neck. I don't like makeup on women. I don't. This is hilarious. After getting fired from Facebook, she continued the fraud in her next role as DEI leader at Nike, thinking that she was untouchable, Buchanan said in the press release. Over 6 years, Furlow Smiles used bogus charges and phony invoices to steal $4.9 million from Facebook and over $120,000 from Nike to fund her luxury lifestyle in California, Georgia, and Oregon, according to the attorney's office. As a result, she not only threw away a lucrative career, but will serve time behind bars for her excessive greed. Oh my God. Oh no. That's just perfect. I love it. I love it. As I catch up a couple of comments here really quickly, I see I fell way behind. Joshua says it's hard not to waste money when you have a limitless taxpayer funded credit card. Exactly. Talking about the previous comments there, yeah, it's easy to spend money when it's someone else's, is the problem. And that's what the main issue is from when you're talking about lawmakers that just spend our tax money frivolously. They're supposed to be good stewards of that money, and they are not. They are not. And Freedom for All says, have you mentioned the Russian warships doing missile drills off the coast of California? No, I haven't seen that, Freedom for All. I did not see that. Monkey says, what's stopping criminals from getting silencers to where it will silence the shots to where the mics can't pick up that noise? You ever used a silencer or heard a real one? They don't suppress that much. You can still hear it. It doesn't bring it down that much. And Gary Edwards says misappropriation of funds, manipulation, malfeasancy. As we catch on here, Cruising says, why are they using a picture of her all dolled up instead of a mugshot like everyone else? I don't know. I guess to drive the point home. I'd love to see the shot though. Yeah, this is like, oh, what did they used to call that in the mall? Glamour shots. That's like her glamour shots photos. She spent how much? 18,000 or 10,000? Did it say? Was it 18,000 or 10? Because I know those were right next to each other. I think it was 10. Yeah, $10,000 to an artist for specialty photos when she could have just gone to Glamour Shots for $59.95. I know they don't have Glamour Shots anymore. They don't have it anymore. And Doc Galt says, why is white collar crime always treated with a slap on the wrist? Because all they want is the money. All they want is the money back. Ultimately, she was ordered to pay it back. Good luck. Good luck. The guy from the Wolf of Wall Street was ordered to pay the money back too. He hasn't done it yet, and he's been out of prison for years. Chillin' Dave says she complained about funds because it wasn't a family member of hers that owned the microphone company. As I catch up a few here, I'm way behind. Way behind on comments. Gary Edwards says specialty photos of DEI cheesecake. Yeah, you hope that's a woman. Pretty sure it's a woman, I know, but DEI manager. How much do these people even make? How much do you make as a DEI manager that she felt like she needed to steal money? If I can even find anything out on that. I don't know what they get paid. I imagine it can't be bad. It must be a pretty decent salary, actually. I tried to look it up real quick. I don't really see anything. Oh no, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. I found it. From somewhere between the average salary in that range is 136,573. Wow. So she's already, DEI program manager at Facebook in the United States. Oh, no. The average salary for diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI program manager at Facebook in the United States is $204,000. Oh, let me open that for you so you can see I'm not making it up. There it is on the right side. The average salary for a diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI program manager at Facebook in the United States is $204,909 per year, 137% above national average. Wow. And she felt like she needed to steal from them? Bitch, you're making over $200,000 a year. Some people don't make that in a decade. Oh my God. $200,000. over 200,000 a year, and she's going to piss it away so she can steal from him. Just wasn't enough. Wasn't enough money. She needed more money so that she could be cute. Catch up a few more comments and we'll move on. Fluke Man says Facebook probably released her diversity job was useless and framed her to get rid of her to avoid firing her without a reason and sued. Well, she didn't get in trouble until after Nike caught her, though. Damien says, why don't thieves ever invest in their stealings? Why spend it all and have to keep stealing until they get caught? No kidding. And Nature Nerd says, how do you steal $5 million from a company like Facebook that doesn't sell physical products? Well, they sell advertising. But there's other stuff that they do that's not product. So she was buying services or paying off services or something. It doesn't tell you exactly, probably so that you don't try to do it yourself. Probably so you... Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Oh, don't start that yet. I've got a video clip I wanted to run here that caught my attention. Video clip I wanted to share. Oh, and Chillin' Dave has to go. Well, glad you could make it today. Glad you could make it today. And Gary Edwards says diversity, equity, and imprisonment. Now that's what happened to her. She went her butt to jail because she stole. And we've been seeing so much of that. And I'll pull the article up every time I can find a good one on subjects like that. We did a few on Black Lives Matters executives in the past, caught stealing funds, stealing. Yeah, Nature Nerd says $204,000. I'll be a DEA officer. Yeah, no kidding. DEI is something else. But yeah, no kidding. I'd probably lose my job though, because yeah, I'll be damned. But anyways, I wanted to share this. This just went down in Congress. This went down in Congress with AOC getting into it with somebody and being really trashy and ghetto in a congressional hearing, her and another person. And then she got into it with Fetterman later on in the day because she just can't help herself, I guess. One more comment. JD says she stole $5 million. That's 20 years of pay. And she didn't pay taxes on the money she stole either. Yeah, and they won't get it back. And who knows if she spent it all? She might have it hid somewhere and just be biding her time. Odds are she'll get out before 5 years are up. 5 years and 3 months. She'll probably be out in 3. The guy that Wolf of Wall Street is based on got out on a third of his time. He was in jail for like maybe a third of his time or less. As a matter of fact, he was in such a country club jail. I think I saw an interview with the actual guy. He said that he shared a cell with Cheech from Cheech and Chong when he got arrested. I mean, seriously, if I'm thinking of the right guy. But anyways, I'll run this video clip for you here, and you can hear and see AOC and another representative having a cat fight in session.
You know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about. I guess
I the fake eyelashes are messing up.
No,
what you're
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath even
you
order.
please regain order of your committee.
Order.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Oh, come on. They're trying to inject an ad.
Your feelings hurt.
Words down.
Aw.
Baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't play.
Baby girl, I don't think
we are going to
so.
move, and we're going to take your words down.
I second that motion.
So, you agree to strike your words?
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
agree.
Ms. Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
needs to
recognizes
apologize. No. She needs
Perry.
to
Okay,
apologize.
hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Ms.
I'm
Green
not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well, then
seconds.
Okay,
you're
reserve
not
the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
Mr.
not
Perry.
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
It's me.
Ms. Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman,
I'm
I make
trying to
a
find
motion to strike those
clarification.
words.
I don't think that's
Hold
a
on.
part
I'm
of the.
trying to find clarification on what
Chairman,
qualifies.
I didn't.
motion to
I had
strike
no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
Oh,
You
Y'all
just,
did
you
it
just
first.
voted to do
Y'all did
it.
it first, so you
You
don't want to
just
talk about
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get
Okay.
clarification.
Look at calm down.
And that's Jasmine Crockett that's throwing her 2 cents in, by the way.
Calm
No,
down.
no, because this
I
is
would
what
like
y'all
to get
do.
through proceeding.
So I'm trying to
Hey,
get
Miss
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
Y'all wanna-
recognized.
The distinguished ladies.
Do you know where-
The distinguished ladies. Do you remember they would be distinguished ladies and gentlemen? Do you remember that? Do you remember that? And how come every time there's a fight like this in Congress, it's always a bunch of women? Have you noticed that too? Bickering and catfighting. AOC makes some snarky comments to Brown. Was it Brown? And then she made a remark about AOC's eyelashes. And then AOC, oh, baby girl. And then this other woman who had nothing to do with it has got to jump in and start talking about bleach blonde, butch body, blah, blah, blah. Helter says they remember when opposing party members disagreed on policy matters without resorting to people's personal appearance. One cannot throw the stone, then hide their hands and clutch their pearls. And JD says, I'm glad that these diversity hires are fleecing these corporations. They created the problem in the first place. There you go. And Damien says, AOC is so pretty, but so crazy. Are you sure she's pretty? She's got a lot of foundation on. Has anyone ever seen her without the makeup? Just saying. Just saying. Eric Peters says these are the people who are making our laws. Imagine the world is laughing at our mean girls government. No kidding. And Unknown Nose says Ebonics. Great. Indeed. And Nature Nerd says U.S. Congress is a joke like South Africa now. And Raccoon says how embarrassing for America to have these clueless hens cackling. And then AOC got into it with Fetterman later in the day because Fetterman had made a post on, I guess, his Twitter account, his X account, excuse me, where he basically was criticizing the behavior of all of them. He was like, why are you going to sit in Congress and act like that? And AOC gave him what for that. And then Dragon says, why stop name calling? They should have made things interesting by engaging in a literal hand-to-hand fight. Yeah, a cat fight. I want to see him rolling around on the carpet and pulling hair and tearing off wigs. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. And JD says, remember when dueling was a perfectly legal way for people to settle their differences? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And then Brian said, it's like watching the annoying Kardashians. I can't stand the Kardashians and their influence on Americans. Their influence and social influence from these like celebrities, especially those socialite celebrities who have no skills and contribute nothing, are some of the worst. They get so much attention and so many people watch them and so many people want to emulate them because they get attention and because they're wealthy, but it's toxic. Their behavior is toxic. And there's too many young people that want to copy that behavior, and it's unfortunate. It's frightening. It's frightening, actually, the direction that that's all going in. But with that, we're almost at the top of the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and start signing off. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion on YouTube Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can also find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Coffee Talk Chat, and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. Special thanks to Raccoon and to Eric, who made donations to the channel today. Very much appreciated. Goes a long way to helping us with our feline situation, as it were. Thanks again to everyone else who was able to join us here today. Hope you got something out of the conversation. And we will catch you again on